Good afternoon, guys. Actually, good evening. How's everybody doing? It has been a while since I have been live. I have almost forgotten how to completely do this, and that's why I screwed up the intro, but it's nice to see everybody here. What's going on, Debbie, Cindy? Please share out tonight. We have a lot to talk about. It's actually been 120 days since I've been live. It's been since July 9th. I think that was the last time I was live on Facebook, actually live anywhere. So there's been a lot going on in my life. Really a lot. Going there, bring that down a little bit. I've been working a lot, upgrading my lab, and right now I'm live in my lab. This is actually Great River Mushrooms lab. Now my bedroom, upstairs, and we have all this equipment now to use. We have a nice luminar, a flow hood as we call it, and this is the most important device if anybody wants to grow mushrooms at home. But we'll talk about that all tonight. But again, nice to see you, Cindy. Paul, please share out, and we're going to do some giveaways to start this out. Turn that down a little bit. And we'll get that hashtag going here. We're going to give away some lion's mane. I haven't given away some lion's mane in a long time. Make sure I got that hashtag correct. So I'm not sure how Facebook algorithm is going to treat me tonight, if I'm going to show up in anybody's algorithm, since I haven't been live for so long. So let's hope we get some people in here. Let me get to that in the hashtag there. It's going to be the lion's mane. Let me get that set up here real quick. The lion's mane. And there we go. Let me share that to... At least I know how to remember to do all this. Share... And if anybody doesn't know what lion's mane is, we'll kind of talk about that too. Lion's mane is one of the most, this is what we're giving away. We're actually giving away a 30-day supply of lion's mane supplement. It's basically really good for your brain. It's brain food, and it's excellent stuff. It's completely changed my life, changed a lot of people's lives as well. Cindy, it's nice to see you as well. Thank you for the highlight, and I hope you guys are having a great evening. Please don't forget to hit that like, love, reaction button. Yeah, I want to first start off by saying that I have actually... 30 days ago, I quit smoking cannabis, not for any reasons I wanted to, but it was greatly affecting my health. It was greatly affecting my anxiety, and it was getting worse. It was getting worse the more I did it. So I'm now 30 days cannabis free. It has actually completely changed my life and has opened up my eyes to just, to the possibilities. I'm more motivated. I have more energy. My anxiety is nearly zero. And it's awesome. And I know that I am in the cannabis community. I don't dislike cannabis. It just wasn't for me anymore. And now I realize that, and I'm in a lot better place now without it. Which was the point. Ultimately, when I started smoking cannabis, I was hoping someday to get to a point where my health, or to change my health, where my health was so good that I didn't need it anymore. So it's awesome to be at that level, and I'm happy. So. Y'all, thanks for joining me. Don't forget to hit that lion's mane hashtag. Please share out to some more groups. I'm going to tag some more people in here that I haven't seen in a while. And tag a friend in as well. We'll talk about lion's mane. We're going to take a tour of my whole facility now, which there's a lot to it now. We even have a greenhouse outside, and we'll take a tour of that. That's my newest thing that I've added, is I have a greenhouse. It's right outside the laboratory, which is right outside this window here. But I'll actually bring that screen up a little smaller. I know this app has changed a little bit, StreamYard, so I have to get used. There we go. See me up a little more. So I'm going to tag some people out here. That I haven't seen in a while. Please tag your friends too. Like I said, we're giving away a bottle of lion's mane. We're going to give away some shiitake mushrooms. So this is actually a whole pound of shiitake mushrooms. It's all canned and it's in a jar now, so you can actually use it for soups or just drain it and eat it as is. But basically what's in there is just salt and the shiitake mushrooms. So somebody's going to win that tonight as well. Thank you for the tag, Debbie. Appreciate it. And let me tag a few more people, like I was saying. And also made the news recently, so we're going to show that video. The news actually interviewed me back in August, and we did an interview about gourmet mushrooms, kind of magic mushrooms, and mental health. So it was a really interesting, intriguing interview, and I'm glad that the local news decided to do that. And we only have 2 entries. Don't forget to do the lion's mane, where I've seen more people. Well, we just have 2 people. Again, also, if you order from my website in the next before Thanksgiving, anything that I profit off that is going to go help feed some families for Thanksgiving. So I want to make that people aware of that. If you order from my website, greatrivermushrooms.com, from here to Thanksgiving, all the proceeds will go to buy families Thanksgiving meals. So I want to make that aware. And also, my mouse quit working. And I also wanted to show this. If you are a veteran, that's not the right one. If you're a cancer patient, veteran, or 65 years old, we do have a discount code as well. I know a lot of people forget that when they order. Discount 20 is the 20% discount, and anybody who is a cancer patient, veteran, or 65 years old, please use that when you do order. So I appreciate that as well. Hit some more tags here. I did the @followers, but I know that doesn't exactly hit everybody, so we're gonna do 4 tags in a row. Please tag a friend in. If anybody's, I know I have a lot of new followers tonight, and actually in the last 2 weeks, I've gained 750 new followers, and that's crazy. So we're up to 4,000 followers on my mushroom page. We are also live to the Great River Mushroom and Herbal Facebook page, and we are live over at YouTube. So let me go over to the Great River Mushrooms. And we'll also do @followers there. So I know a lot of people follow me over there and comment. We have some people over here as well. There we go. Now we're gonna get 8 people in the house. I appreciate every single one of you guys in here. Don't forget to hit that hashtag Lions Mane. We're gonna get this show started. Got a little bit of coffee here as well. So I drink a lot more coffee now that I don't smoke cannabis. And I actually thought it was the coffee for a while causing panic attacks, but it wasn't. So what I believe was happening is, as people know, I talk a lot about magic mushrooms and my use of them in the last 3 years. What I think happened is that the magic mushrooms actually changed the neurochemistry in my brain so much that it actually made my brain healthy. It made it healthier than it was before I used cannabis. So that cannabis use was actually affecting my my vagus nerve. And if anybody doesn't know what your vagus nerve is, it's actually the longest nerve in your body. It actually connects to your digestive system, your heart, your organs, all the way to your brain. And it is known that now that your heart actually contains 10,000 neurons, a bundle of neuron pathways, and your stomach does as well. So what it helps is the brain communicate with the stomach and the heart. And there's not a lot of Western science to back up the fact that what we call agitated vagus nerve, but a lot of people's anxiety actually comes from an agitated vagus nerve. And I actually figured it out when I found a YouTube video, started doing some vagus nerve stretches, and my anxiety actually decreased after these stretches. And I found a lot out about vagus nerve and the whole system that is involved there. It's more or less Eastern medicine that kind of applies to the vagus nerve and what is known about it and how it actually affects your mood and all these other things in your body, your fight or flight mode. And so it's very interesting and very intriguing. And like I said, I don't know how Facebook's going to treat me tonight. I'm trying to get some more people in here. But somebody's going to have a really good chance to win some Lions Mane if we don't get a lot of people in here, and that's fine with me. But please also don't forget to hit that like and that share button as well. I'll share it to one more group here. I think I missed a group. And yeah, there's one big group there we missed. And pretty sure there's another one. I hope we got them all. But again, if anybody doesn't know what the lion's mane is, we'll actually show that video here. Let me actually present that video that's actually about lion's mane so people can know what it is. And let me get that up here. Got a 1 minute video, kind of explains lion's mane for those of you who don't know actually what it does.
Lion's mane mushroom benefits. Support your brain health, boost your focus and memory, and improve your mood with this nootropic shroom. Brain health. Lion's mane mushroom stimulates nerve growth factor, NGF, and brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which jumpstart the production of new cells, strengthen existing ones, and increase brain plasticity. Alleviate symptoms of neurodegenerative diseases. Lion's mane mushroom improves cognitive function, protects against the effects of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and reduces inflammation. It provides your body with antioxidants. Antioxidants help you make more BDNF and neutralize free radicals. Free radicals cause inflammation and damage to your brain cells. Improves mood and focus. Lion's mane mushroom reduces depression and anxiety. It promotes learning, memory, and attention. It also improves blood flow, which brings more oxygen to your lung. How to take it. It tastes like fishy dirt, so it doesn't mix well with other foods or drinks. Instead, try it in capsule, extract, or powder form, but buyer beware. Make sure the company discloses how much active compound versus filler you're getting. Learn more at blog.bulletproof.com.
Again, our lion's mane mushroom is completely 100% lion's mane supplement. It has no fillers. It is completely the mushroom crushed up. I buy it from a third-party vendor, a very respected third-party vendor, and then I make capsules myself with the capsule machines actually right beside me. So, and also if you order from me, and again, hello Danielle and Joseph, nice to see you guys again. It's been a while. It's been since July 10th since I've been live, so it's kind of crazy to think. And my life is a lot different since then. So thank you guys for joining me. Again, anytime you order any product from me, and this is when I go to farmers market too, we have all these brochures. So we have a brochure for every single supplement we have. We have the lion's mane, and we have a very good description of what each one does. Reishi, turkey tail, CBD, CBG, and our company menu as well. So if you order for, say, the lion's mane, reishi, turkey tail mixed capsule, you're going to get all three brochures. I like to educate people on exactly what is going on with these supplements so you know what you're getting and what will happen. So, for instance, the lion's mane, like I said, it is brain food. It helps a lot with anxiety, depression. It actually contains bioactive compounds that aren't really found anywhere else in nature. So those things alone are important to our immune system, our brain health, and a lot of other things. It also helps with Alzheimer's disease, and obviously there's not going to be any study out there to prove that a $13 bottle of lion's mane can help with Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's is the next big boom for Western medicine. Pharmaceutical companies are about to bank majorly with Alzheimer's medicine, which a lot of times, from what I know, they don't treat it. They just cover up the symptoms. They don't actually take care of the alkaloid beta that actually forms on your brain. That is actually what ends up causing Alzheimer's over time. So well, let me find out exactly where it's. Yeah, it helps protect against memory problems caused by the buildup of amyloid beta. Sorry, I said alkaloid. Amyloid beta, the substance that forms the brain plaques associated with the disease. So that's how we know that what is causing Alzheimer's. It's this plaque that builds up on your brain. And there are two known. Oh yeah, sure, Chad. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? I hope you had an amazing day too, Shane. Appreciate you coming in. But the lion's mane, what was I saying? Basically, there's two substances that we know of that can help with this buildup of alkaloid beta. Now, one of them is cannabis, and the other one is lion's mane. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of other things in nature that we aren't aware of yet that may help, but those are the two known substances that I know of. And as far as cannabis, my understanding is that cannabis actually builds a film over the brain that ends up blocking the amyloid beta from building on the brain, which ends up causing Alzheimer's, which is very interesting that a substance that can cause short-term memory loss, like cannabis, can actually treat long-term memory. So I look forward to more of those studies as they come out, but I know that it works. I've sold it to the people who actually have used it and have seen really profound effects with cannabis and with Alzheimer's. So I'm going to move that again and bring me back up bigger. I keep shaking the screen. I apologize. I'm actually on one of my tables in my lab. And so, again, we'll talk about the other mushroom too. Reishi, another very important mushroom. It has boosts the immune system. It has heart health and blood sugar. It can reduce fatigue and depression. Has powerful anti-cancer properties. And actually has shown can lead to the death of cancer cells in several tested tube studies. So if you are actually a cancer patient, that's why I offer 20% off, because these are powerful compounds to help fight cancer naturally. Now, turkey tail is even more powerful. And turkey tail actually has some very known compounds. And there are actually a few famous mycologists who claim that it helps cure their mother of breast cancer. And I know of a story of a famous mycologist whose mother was 95 years old, developed breast cancer. She was too old to receive the normal treatment, so she went and tried turkey tail. And from my understanding, 6 months later, she was cured. There was no sign of breast cancer in her body, and the only explanation was that the turkey tail had worked. So, and also has boosted immunity, anti-tumor, and improved gut health. So these are all important things that are important to our bodies, and as well important to people who have cancer. So that's why we have the turkey tail, reishi, and lion's mane combined in one capsule on our website. And we have some of the cheapest prices on the market. I know I'm cheaper than anything on Amazon, and you're helping support a small business as well. So, but again, don't forget to hit that hashtag the lion's mane. And we have, like I said, we have a lot of new followers. And the way you hit that lion's mane hashtag is just enter hashtag the lion's mane in the comments, and that will automatically enter you into a little raffle we have here that will give somebody a chance to win that lion's mane. But appreciate everybody coming in here tonight. I know I haven't been live in 120 days, so you don't know who's going to show up. But we also have a live view of our fruiting tent. And let me bring that up. So that is actually a live view of our fruiting tent, and that's where we actually grow the mushrooms at. So right now we are in our lab. The fruiting tent is down in the basement, and that is where it stays at about 90% humidity and 63 degrees all the time. You'll actually see the humidifier kick on, and the whole room will fog up. And you can't grow mushrooms without having this device here. It's just as important to have that mushroom chamber as well, where we actually grow the mushrooms. So. Brad, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. I think you are. That's a new name that I've seen. Shane, I think I have a little bit of honey left. I haven't really been focusing on honey. I'm actually I'm on the plans now to bring back FICO. And the reason I stopped making FICO is A, because I was working a lot, and B, because I have not gotten the technique down to bring it to a mass production. So I'm working on that now. I actually have buying some more equipment that will allow me to make FICO way more available. I still grow marijuana even though I don't smoke it anymore. I always have a passion to grow marijuana. And so a lot of that medicine now, I'm not going to be smoking. It's going to be made into medicine, FICO oil. And we have, as people have seen, I have done live sessions of how to make that FICO in my kitchen. And now we're actually buying equipment to make it in the laboratory. And it's higher grade lab equipment. We're actually using vacuum chambers and something called a Buchner funnel, if I pronounce that right. And what a Buchner funnel is actually, it's a glass funnel. You actually attach a vacuum to it, and it allows you to remove all the oils from the flower a lot more efficiently. And so we're gonna end up buying that, and we're gonna be able to make FICO a lot more easier, a lot less messier, and we'll bring that back. So I know a lot of people have missed that because I was selling a lot of it, and then I kind of quit selling it in July. So we'll be bringing that back as well. So if there's no honey on there, I might have taken it off, and that is because of the fact that I didn't have a lot of time, because preparing the honey, making it, and stuff like that takes some time, and I need to work on that process more too. And right now I don't have a lot of cannabis because I quit growing for about 4 months. So I quit growing cannabis because I was working so much, and still am, but I've gotten to a lot more stable point mentally where I can handle it all. And again, even if you're joining me and you can't stay, please hit that like button. It really helps. Like I said, I haven't been live in so long that I know that Facebook will bring me down in the algorithm. But we have a lot of new followers. So I hit that follower button. If you're new in here, please join us. I see Brad, I think that is a new name. And hit that hashtag. But let's share that story of too. Like I said, WGM, which is a local news, did a story on me. It's actually very intriguing because he actually interviewed a mycologist at a university. Actually, I think it was a local university. So let me get that shared in here. Move. And I actually didn't talk about it for a while. I didn't talk about this story because I live in a very conservative town. There are a lot of people who will judge me for talking about mental health, for talking about magic mushrooms in such a manner to treat mental health. There were people who laughed at the story. There were people who mocked me when it was when it was posted on Facebook on the WGM's page. So there was a while there I didn't talk about it or post it because I knew I'd be judged, and I'm at a lot better point in my life where I'm not scared to talk about it. I'm not scared to talk about mental health. I'm not scared to talk about how magic mushrooms saved my life, and they truly did. Are there any species of mushrooms that have medical benefits for kidney failure? It's a good question, and I'm going to guess that reishi probably is a good suggestion. I know that lion's mane has some effects, but I'll have to look more into that. I've never had anybody actually ask that, but I know that we have reishi has a powerful antioxidant. Turkey tail has powerful antioxidants, and so does lion's mane. So your best bet was to try out the one that has all three in it, and that would probably have a great effect on you. But the downfall of a lot of these mushrooms is there's not a lot of research on them, and I look forward to the research that comes out, because mushrooms, now that we know what magic mushrooms do, we now know that they are very powerful to our body. And the Chinese have been using mushrooms for thousands of years, and there's a reason for that. I always like to do a lot of research on Chinese medicine just for the fact that they have been around so long, their civilization, that they know a lot more than we do. And Western medicine, our American medicine, was created in the early 1900s, not for the reasons that Chinese created their medicine. Their medicine was actually meant to heal. Our medicine was meant to make money. That's the difference. So if you're ever looking for natural ways to treat the human body, the Chinese, the medicine, looking in that direction is always the first start. So, and I've been doing a lot more research on it as well, and I'm always intrigued by what the Chinese know. I should say that region of the world. So, because it's not just China, and it's also Japan and those regions that have been around for a long time. And it's good to see you too, Lisa. Nice to see you again. I know a lot of you have been in my comments and posts too throughout the last 4 months. I haven't been live, and I appreciate you guys very much. I try to keep my Facebook very educational, positive, and I try to show people that there are other ways to treat the human body, especially mental health. So I am now a full-blown mental health advocate, and I look forward to that. And there's a thing that I have not shared yet that I will be sharing probably the next week. But I now have no longer have the clinical definition of bipolar. I've actually taken a few tests. I've come back negative. I know if I went to my primary doctor and she ran her test, I would not be positive for bipolar. Now, I still do have, I should say, small symptoms, and I shouldn't. It may not be related to bipolar because a lot of the symptoms are what normal people deal with every day. Stress, a little bit of anxiety still, and depression. So everybody's going to get depressed no matter how healthy their brain is. That is a normal occurrence in life. But 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with bipolar, and it's fascinating the journey I took. I actually got to this point not taking any prescriptions. I have used all natural medicine. I have changed my diet. I put up boundaries. I've changed friendships, and a lot of times it's not easy. I would not recommend this on anybody, but anybody that wants to try, you have to give it your all. And I'm very happy and very proud of myself to where I'm at now. And I also had general anxiety, which I've had most of my life. Do not see any symptoms of that either in my life anymore. That is almost completely gone, and that went away when I quit smoking cannabis. So like I said, 30 days ago, I quit smoking cannabis. I was having profound anxiety, panic attacks that had no idea where they were coming from. Just began microdosing. That is awesome, Lisa. And we're going to be talking about that more. I'm having a Sunday show now, and I'll be having guests and stuff, but it's going to be called Coffee Time with Dan. It's going to be a mental health podcast. We're going to talk about different subjects again, magic mushrooms, and talk more about my journey and how I got to where I am now with Great River Mushrooms and Herbal, how I got into mushrooms. So it's very intriguing, very eye-opening, and I look forward to advocating more for mental health and how mushrooms help that. So the first one is that Lion's Mane. Don't forget to hit that hashtag Lion's Mane. I know I just took it off the screen there. Oh, it's because I'm showing a comment. But hashtag the Lion's Mane. That will enter you in a contest, the giveaway here to win a bottle of that. Yeah, I hope you are too, Lisa. It'll be at 9 o'clock on Sunday. I'm not sure if I'm starting this Sunday because we're going to be doing kind of an auction style on Sunday night to help raise money for families in need in my area. So I'll be auctioning off a lot of my products, and all that money will go towards to raise money to help families. So my goal is $50 to $65. That will help feed one family for Thanksgiving, 4 to 6 people. That includes a turkey or a ham and all the fixings. And I'm working with somewhere in my town called the Quincy Neighborhood Federation. Is actually a federation of people who help people in need. So I usually just give them the food, and then they help find the families in need to help give that out. So I did it 1 year. I haven't done it in the past, so I look forward to helping do that again. So, and again, Sunday we're going to have an auction to help raise money for that. So. Yeah, you're exactly right, Shane. I have a doctor that she's wonderful. She is very honest about our bodies. She doesn't hide anything. She tells me many times, she's like, we don't know enough about that to give you an opinion. Let me bring myself up here since I'm still talking. And so my doctor, especially with our nervous system, in 2019, the reason that I actually got diagnosed with bipolar is the fact that I actually herniated my L6 disc, and I actually could not sleep for 2 weeks. I was literally sleeping like an hour, and I went pretty crazy. Basically, when you're not sleeping, and if you have the slightest bipolar inside of you, man, I was not aware of it. I just thought it was generalized anxiety, but those bipolar symptoms blew up, and I went to my doctor, and that was when I got diagnosed as bipolar type 1 with ADHD. So I agree with you there, and that's what opened up my eyes when I was like, why am I taking this medication that's making me worse? I'm getting more depressed. I'm getting more anxious. My gut is falling apart. And when I walked away from Western medicine to the point where I am now, where I don't have bipolar symptoms anymore. It is amazing. And I look forward to helping people realize that there's so much out there that can help all of us. Appreciate it, Lisa. And again, if you didn't hear me before, anybody who makes an order between now and Thanksgiving, all of your proceeds will go help to feed families in need. Like I was just talking about the buying meals for families. So all the way from Thanksgiving till now, which I think is 12 days away, 28th to 25th. I always get it confused. I think it's Thanksgiving is the 25th. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have my phone on me because it's inside of my fruiting tent. But yeah, order it before then, and so you can help a family in need as well. And again, if anybody wants that discount there at the bottom, cancer patients, vets, 65 years old, 20% discount. Use that code discount20 when you order on the website and you have the checkout menu. That's when it will ask for the discount code. Make sure you put that in there then, because I can't put that in there afterwards. Yeah, and the amazing thing is, so my herniated disc in the last month, it got really bad. It actually came back, and so I started changing my diet. I quit eating sugar. I actually eliminated gluten a lot from my diet, and I have now I found this heating belt. It's actually battery powered. It has a heat sensor on the back, and it gets really hot. It has tremendously helped my back. I now almost am back to normal. I use it regularly, and this winter I plan on doing some strength training to improve the strength of my lower back so that issue does not come back. So, but yeah, aren't you young? I'm 41 years old, young, so dealing with a debilitating back issue at that age is horrible, and I'm very hopeful. I was losing hope a month ago when I was dealing with the pain, and I'm like, do I really have to deal with this the rest of my life? And you have to change your life. You have to change what you do. You have to have hope. You have to sometimes change your diet. When I eat sugar, my back pain explodes. And what sugar actually does to the human body is actually causes severe inflammation. A lot of people's pain actually comes from sugar. And when you actually eliminate sugar from your diet, a lot of your pain will actually go away. So if anybody who is in pain, I invite you to eliminate sugar and see what happens. Got heart-to-heart discussions about why I don't accept the treatment offered. Well, I hope change your doctor gives you some alternative medicines, although I know a lot of them don't know a lot about Eastern medicine. The day that I started to discuss magic mushrooms with my doctor, there was actually an intern with her, and for almost 10 minutes she asked me questions about it, because she was so ignorant. She didn't know anything about magic mushrooms, but she was so profoundly intrigued by its effects. And I had the same thing when I first talked about it with my therapist 3 years ago. He asked 20 minutes of question. His mind was so open. He was so intrigued and so excited about the future of mental health treatment with magic mushrooms. So sorry to hear that, Lisa. I hope it gets better. Yeah, inflammation is a huge part of vein. So I truly believe that how you treat your body in your 40s is how your body will respond the rest of your life. So literally, your 40s are probably the most important part of your life to take care of your body. It's when it starts aging, it's when it starts breaking down. And I feel like I'm almost in the best shape of my life. I'm approaching a mental clarity that I've never had in my life. I'm physically still very good in shape, and I'm only going to get better as winter approaches. I plan on doing a lot more working out, and I'm happy with where I am with the results I'm getting. So yeah, we are live over on my page and Great River Mushrooms. So we're live on YouTube as well. So Dan the Mushroom Man page and Great River Mushrooms and Herbal, we are live over there. So welcome to come over to my page. Just please hit those reaction buttons and get a few more people in here. I don't know. who I've tagged in yet, but we'll tag some more people in. Actually, I used to have a whole list of people I tagged in, but I kind of lost it. And I haven't been live for so long that a lot of these groups have changed. The people involved in them. There's anybody knows there's drama in these groups, so I don't even know who still is on my page and who still watches it. I think I've already tagged them in, but maybe we'll tag them in twice. So anybody you know who used to watch my page, tag them in. I miss you guys. Tag a few more. But let's get this story from WGM up and and watch it. It's never too late. You're right. Appreciate it, Lisa. Appreciate it. And let me. Where did that go? Let me bring that up full screen. Turn the music off. And this is only a 5-minute story. This was on my local news about a month ago, and we talked about mental health, mushrooms. And it's pretty intriguing. Full page there. So here we go.
He's WGEM digital correspondent Jason Luton. Thanks for spending a couple of minutes with me.
Absolutely, Natalie. Glad to be here.
You're working on an interesting project. There's a story that's live now on the WGEM streaming app about mushrooms. What did you learn?
Well, that's right.
Hey, Crystal.
I spoke with a Quincy man, Dan Baird, who has started Great River Mushrooms and Herbal. He grows a variety of gourmet mushrooms in his basement and also produces supplements of some other mushrooms that he sources from local farmers. He says that these supplements actually can help with ADHD, with depression, anxiety, all sorts of things. Also learned quite a bit about what it takes to grow these mushrooms. It was a lot.
We've got some video that goes along with this story of the growing mushrooms. What surprised you most when you were digging into mushrooms?
Well, honestly, the thing that surprised me most was finding out that mushrooms are actually more closely related to people than they are to plants. Always kind of have this thought that, mushrooms are, taught in botany classes. But I spoke with a QU biologist, Joe Coelho, and he told me, pointed out that mushrooms are, through DNA sequencing, have found they're more closely related to people. For instance, they breathe oxygen, not carbon dioxide as plants would. They don't use photosynthesis. They get their nutrition from external sources, like nearly all plants use photosynthesis. So it was pretty fascinating to me to learn that connection.
I don't know if that's interesting or just straight scary. Growing mushrooms, if you want to do it in your basement, is it difficult?
On a small scale, not really. If you're just looking to grow, like, say, some shiitake mushrooms or some oyster mushrooms, really isn't that difficult. You can use dowel rods that have been impregnated with spores and drill holes into like a log or something, prop it up against a barn somewhere where there's going to be some moisture. The mushrooms will sprout. And it's, on a larger scale to sell, like at farmers markets, like Dan does or whatever, you need some specialized equipment. And he's done that, built an atomizer that provides cool mist and has some fruiting chambers. And it's really quite fascinating. I was blown away at the depth of what all is involved.
So you're telling us just a little bit about what's in your piece. How can people learn more?
Well, if you'd like to see the story, it's right now. It's live on the WGEM streaming app, as you said. If you go to the streaming app, toward the bottom of the first screen,
this is my first time watching this that was on live TV. The story is actually different.
And you just click on that, and you'll be able to see the show, and click on that, and it'll play for you.
So you're starting to put more stories exclusively on our streaming app. Talk to me a little bit about that and why this is really a different experience for folks now.
Well, one of the great things about this is that we don't have the time constraints that we might have on a live broadcast. So we can get really in depth with some more interesting topics and provide, a more breadth of scope. And, it's just a chance to do some stories about interesting folks or interesting people. Topics across the board, things that folks would find interesting, I think.
So we won't give anything away, but Jason's already working on a couple of other stories that you were just talking.
All right, we'll actually find the story. I actually thought that was the story, but I actually found that on WGM page. Let me actually, the actual story, we actually talk more about mental health. And I know it's on my Facebook page, so we'll just share it from there. Let me remove that. And we'll just bring it onto my Facebook page here. Oh, anybody didn't see that? We grew a 17-ounce mushroom the other day. It was crazy. I've never seen a mushroom that big. And there it is right there. That thing is bigger than my head. I grew a 13-ounce mushroom last year, and I thought that was going to be the biggest shiitake I ever grew. But apparently you can grow bigger. So let's go find that story from WGM. Here it is. And this is actually the full story. I think it's actually 9 minutes long. So if I remember right, maybe I'm wrong, but let's play that and bring it up full screen. Probably going to get an ad here. No, it's the same story. So we must have to go to the app. So let's see if I can find that again. It might have to go to the WGM page. But apparently the live story was different. What they're trying to do is get people to go to their page. And I might have to just go to WGM page and then search on there. And we'll just search. There it is. This is the story. Like that. The other one was just their live when they're trying to get people to go watch it. So we'll actually play this. It's on my skip. It's on the screen still. And hey, Margaret, how you doing? Thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was nice exposure. I didn't share it when it first came out. Like I said, if you actually go to the original post, there were people who laughed at it. There were people who mocked me. There were people, when you're talking about a substance that a lot of people do not understand, especially when I start talking about mental health. And we had discussions about magic mushrooms, but he tried to keep it brief because obviously he doesn't want to talk on live TV about how a guy is using a illegal substance. So, but we did have that discussion. And so I know there are people who probably did mock me or make fun of me when we talked about it. So here we go. I don't know why. Huh. I don't know why I can't find. I don't know. Can't find the actual story. It must be only on the app. So I've watched it before. Weird. Let's try to search their website, their page again. Yeah, I don't see it. Weird, but it's on WGM. I appreciate them sharing that story. Oh, thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it. I appreciate it too, Lisa. Yeah, Jason is he's a Facebook friend, and he follows me a lot. And he sent me a message one day. He's like, "Hey, a lot of your posts are very intriguing. Can we do a story about you?" And I agreed about it. And it's still, I live in a very conservative town. Talking about your mental health, you will be judged. There are people out there who who will mock you. There are people out there, and even in this world today, who will make fun of you for trying to take care of your mental health in non-Western ways, especially Eastern medicine, because Americans don't understand. We've literally been in Western medicine for 100 years now, and people are just completely ignorant and closed-minded to what the power of nature provides. So I'm in a lot better place now than I was in August. Now that I quit taking cannabis, it has taken my fear completely away. I could give a shit less what anybody thinks. They want to judge me, that's fine with me. You judging me is an aspect of your own mental health. I really believe that now. It has nothing to do with me. And there was a guy who I actually used to be friends with. He's not a very good guy now, and he actually commented on that post, and with another girl had a whole discussion that was not very friendly. Let's put that out there. And there are still people out there that exist, even in their 40s. This guy's 42 years old, still makes fun of people for talking about their mental health. So it's wild. And I feel sorry for him that he's going to go through the rest of his life not realizing the power of taking care of your own mental health. So it's good to see you guys in here, and I like talking about mental health. And this is what taking care of my mental health did. It helped build this. And there's so much involved here. I mean, it's pretty busy in here. I even got this cool microscope now that I just bought the other day. And you can see it here. It is actually a university style microscope. I'm very excited about that. I haven't even got to use it, but it's powerful. It's actually 1,000 times optical zoom in it. So that's not digital zoom, that's optical. Very powerful. I can literally probably see the skin cells on my skin. That's how powerful it is. But mostly it's going to be used to help me develop some new products that I'm working for gardening. And my greenhouse that I have outside now is another part of that. So we have a telescope. We bought this flow hood back in June, and I bought it used from an individual about 2 hours away from me. That was the most exciting buy. But I haven't really used it much because the last 4 months I've been so busy with my main job. So I appreciate it, Melissa. I appreciate it. It's quiet here. Let me get a little music going. Oh, we got new music. There we go. But yeah, it's men speaking about their mental health. Today's world is there's still people who judge, and I feel like I live in the wrong part of the country where we have men that do not take care of their mental health. We have men who mock people for it. I know a lot of other people live in highly conservative Catholic areas, and I'm not saying all conservative Catholics, but it seems to be that's where a lot of judgment comes. I am also a single man, so I have been on dates where I start talking about magic mushrooms to women who are conservative Catholics, and they want nothing to do with me after that. They sometimes they go ghosts, and sometimes they're just like, oh, this isn't going to work. But they are completely closed-minded off from learning anything about it or from being involved with anybody with that. So this is who I am. This is what I come with. So I'm Dan the Mushroom Man, if you guys didn't know that. So not friendly and definitely not productive either. You're right, Lisa. Yeah, it's educational system. The church also. I was born Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I went through all of the sacraments. I quit going when I was truly quit going when about 6 years ago. But I actually was a Christian then. And they teach you that drugs are bad, but people still think magic mushrooms are drugs, but they're not. They are a powerful compound, more powerful than people realize. And even I used to be ignorant when I first heard that Colorado was thinking about legalizing mushrooms. I didn't know anything about them. I laughed at the story kind of, but then immediately when I laughed, I started doing research. I'm like, wait a minute. And I started looking more into it. And then I happened to come across some of my own through through somebody I had actually met on a dating site. And we became friends, and she shared her mushrooms, and then she shared how to make them. And the rest is history. Here I am. I'm not friends with her. I actually have not talked to her in 5 years, but I hope that she would be proud to where it took me. And all it takes is meeting one person. That one person can literally change your life and introduce you to something that you had no idea can change your life. And appreciate it, Lisa. I have a lot of education stuff to do, and I want to talk more about how magic mushrooms saved my life. And again, we'll have that show on Sunday called Coffee Time with Dan. It used to be Coffee Time with Dan and Rasta, but this approach that I'm taking now on Sundays is going to be more mental health podcast. So it's actually called Coffee Time with Dan, a mental health podcast, to be more specific. And I'm doing it on Sundays at 9 because even when I go back into I'm a production manager for a roofing company. So we are approaching our slow season, and I actually get 2.5 months off during our slow season. So you'll be seeing me a lot more doing lives then. But when we come back in the spring and we come back into the roofing season, Sunday will allow me to still keep that show going. That's really why you quit seeing me a lot on podcasting, because I didn't have the time. I'd come back from work, and sometimes I'd work till 7 or 9 at night, working 12 to 15 hour days, 5 days a week. And I was exhausted on the weekends, dealing with my back injury that is now a lot healthier, for dealing with my mental health, which in the last 4 months it got bad. And it got bad because I wasn't using magic mushrooms enough, but I couldn't use the magic mushrooms because I was getting panic attacks. And I've talked about how in December, I took magic mushrooms, took a really high dose, and I actually had to call 911. I had one of the most severe panic attacks I've ever had in my life. I actually went unconscious. I passed out, and that worried me. That's why I called 911. But now I realize that it wasn't the mushrooms; it was the cannabis that was causing it, and I realize that now. And I'm very intrigued at what's going to happen in my future uses with mushrooms. So I've taken some time off because I wanted to figure out where those panic attacks were coming from, and I have got it down that it was the cannabis. And so I've quit smoking cannabis. I still will always promote cannabis. I do believe that it's very helpful, but there are times and instances where people probably shouldn't take it, and I was, to that point. So. But how many people we got in that giveaway? Where is that at? That Lions Man. There's only 4. I think it actually broke. Oh man, StreamYard. It did. Let's hit that hashtag again. Let me bring it back up here and not wait so long, because StreamYard, they've improved a lot of things, but apparently their giveaway tool still sucks. Let's try that again. The Lions Mane. This closed-minded is a very place to be, yeah. And I've been there before. I actually, and I'm sure people have seen me say hateful things on Facebook, and I'm not proud of those things, but I realize that my mental health, when people become hateful, when people become judgmental, I think it has a lot more to do with their mental health. So I did a lot of internal searching myself. I didn't want to be that person, and I wanted to be a better individual. And I worked hard at getting to this point. And that's why people still judge me. There are people who do not believe that people are capable of change, that people are capable of great change, and people are. And there'll be people who come into your life in and out. You may not have seen 10 years, who still will treat you the same way they did 10 years ago because they still think you're that person. But the truth is, everybody changes. We all change as we age. We all mature. Some of us actually get more immature, due to our declining mental health. But, we all have to take care of our brains if we want to be happy in life. Seems to be working now. We got 8 entries there. Facebook being Facebook. Actually, that had more or less to do with StreamYard. So it just said there was an error, and then it told me to refresh. So. I'll just wait 10 minutes and we'll give that away. Then we'll start doing a tour, and I'll give away, instead of have a pound of shiitake mushrooms canned that I'll ship to somebody you can cook with. Yeah, some just stagnate as well. Especially if you, how long we've been live for an hour now. Been talking for an hour. Time flies when you're having fun. Well, we've been steady between 6 and 11 people. I appreciate everybody that's joined me, and eventually we'll move up in the algorithm of Facebook. But when you haven't been live for 4.5 months, Facebook's gonna move you way down. So that's why I said tag some friends in. I didn't see anybody that tagged in come in. So who even know if the tag's working? We are live over on Dan the Mushroom Man's page and Great River Mushrooms. And big old puffer mushroom, yeah. We've had a warm fall, so mushrooms have actually been growing a lot lately. So I've seen a lot of different species that I've never really seen this time of year, but in the Midwest, the Quincy, Illinois region, we've had some warmer weather, so mushrooms have been sticking around a little bit longer. Oh, I did tag you in. Okay. I can't remember everybody's tagged in. Let me see if I can. I usually just hit share it into a couple pages too, but I know the groups have gone tremendously downhill. The groups that I follow, not a lot of people posting anymore. There's not a lot of interactions. Maybe people have seen that more than I have, but yeah, I think we tagged most of the people we want in. So. Thanks for some messages too. I'm doing okay. Somebody asked me in a message, I'm doing all right. I feel like I'm doing fantastic if you've been watching this live. But cheers, my coffee's getting cold. I better drink it up. We're also gonna unhook this laptop. We're gonna start doing a tour of everything that we've done here. This room that I'm in right now. This winter, there's going to be a lot of remodeling in my house. So you'll see drywall marks. We have to still paint this lab room. I have 2 new windows I still have to put in. I'm actually remodeling my bedroom upstairs, residing the back of my house, and rebuilding my porch that is collapsing. So there's a lot of things going on, and I need to paint the mushroom facility. So I hated that when the news did that story, how much that background looked like crap. But you know, what can you do? You have to take the opportunity when you have some, and sometimes you're not ready for it. So we'll eventually get that all painted. We plan on painting the floor in my grow facility and the walls, and doing some other things as well. So we have more upgrades because I basically last summer, 2 summers ago was when I first started selling at the farmers market. This summer I didn't get there only about half the time I should have, but every time that I went, oh man, I made good money. I got to talk to people a lot about mental health. I got to meet a lot of new people, and that was awesome. But I need to get out there more. I really enjoyed it. So I feel like next summer is going to be the big opportunity. Next summer is where this company grows a lot, and I truly believe that. We're going to see a lot of new things that I'm bringing, including mushroom coffee, which I've had a lot of people ask me about that. We will be developing mushroom coffee this winter, and we're going to start on that soon probably. So during our live giveaways, we're going to be giving away samples too of that. I need a lot of testers to test for that new coffee brand we're going to be having. I haven't microdosed in so long. But I feel like I used to, those of you who don't know, I actually used to do big doses of mushrooms every month or every weekend for almost 5 months. I did a lot of magic mushrooms, but I did them in a very different way. I was chasing things in my brain, looking for answers. And I that's the part that I want to educate people. You can't just take magic mushrooms and expect to change. It is a tool. Magic mushrooms are a tool to be used to help you bring clarity, awareness, and why you are the way you are. And to see the world in a different perspective. That was a very powerful thing, and I still can feel it without taking the mushrooms. I know the things that I felt while I was on them. It was beautiful, and I hope everybody, at least once in their life, gets to have that experience where you take those mushrooms and you realize how special life is. Harvest time. Oh yeah. It's always harvest time here because I grow indoors. I didn't grow anything outdoors, but I actually never have. So I appreciate it, Lisa. And there may not be people in this my live anymore because I removed them from Facebook. There are certain people that I do not follow anymore because I do not invite negativity. Anybody who constantly posts misinformation without doing research, that is a pet peeve of mine, and I really believe that is dangerous in our society to constantly post things that aren't true. It's very dangerous in today's world, especially where misinformation gets spread like wildfire. And there are a lot of people on Facebook who love sharing things that aren't true or love sharing misinformation without using their cognitive skills. So a lot of those people that used to be on these lives aren't here anymore because of that as well. And negativity. So when I started eliminating those two things out of my life, I realized, man, life is beautiful, too beautiful enough to sit here and spread lies, and too beautiful enough to sit here and spread negativity, you know. Yeah, the answers come along with work. About mushrooms last forever. Now they do have a half-life, my understanding. But I've taken mushrooms that were 18 months old and they were still strong. The only thing you look for is other kinds of molds, like any kind of blue mold. Now, it may be the mycelium inside that mushroom should not still be alive where it actually is causing that kind of mold, because what happens to most mushrooms, well, when you dry magic mushrooms out so the mold can't grow anymore. So you're basically killing that mycelium. But gourmet mushrooms, actually, when you grow them, they actually grow mold on them, and they're actually, it's the mycelium of the mushroom eating itself. So if I actually leave a mushroom too long in my pruning chamber, for instance, the mushroom will actually start to consume itself. They are cannibalistic, but they're only after the nutrition. So if they drop their spores, they will then eat themselves as the nutrition. And basically, I can't think of the word. It goes back into, it eats itself. So it's the nutrients go back into the mycelium. So it can do it again, grow more mushrooms, spread spores, die, consume itself, and do the cycle over again. So you should be okay as long as you don't see any mold in it. There should be completely safe. Blue mold is one thing you want to watch out with. That's trichodermia, and that is mushroom's worst enemy. There are obviously a lot of different colors of mold, but white and your blue and pink are your number one ones. But your mushrooms may be weaker. I know that, like I said, they do have a half-life, but I do not know a lot of science to back that up, and I don't think science does either. So there's just a few studies out there. But the mushrooms that I actually consumed in December, where I called 911, they were actually 2 years old. They were in a chocolate bar, and I had never actually taken a chocolate bar that had 5 grams of mushrooms. Actually, it was 4 grams. But that was powerful. Easily the most powerful trips I've ever had, but it was very dark. That was one of the darkest places I've ever been in my life, and that is one of the reasons I backed off from doing them, because I wanted to take care of figuring out where that darkness came from. So that's about the only thing that we could be worried about is taking a strong dose. that you go somewhere dark and you get stuck there now. I couldn't get out of that dark place. I have a lot of past trips where I could. I do believe that there are ways to keep you from going into a bad trip. But that one was uncontrollable and it was scary. So I hope that helps. I think you'd be all right to take them, Shane, as long as there's nothing there. So. Yeah, sure, Lisa. Yeah. Yeah, my trip, basically, I thought I died and I thought I got stuck there. And the place, wherever I went when I died in December, was not a nice place. It was very dark and very lonely and very scary. Your mindset definitely has a lot to do with it. And taking care of your anxiety. Anxiety is another thing that can take you down a deep, dark path very quickly. And you should definitely deal with your anxiety. Although it does help with anxiety, but I also recommend not consuming cannabis while you do the mushrooms now. And I know we need more research to show that, because there's no research in how cannabis and mushrooms interact, but I do believe that there is a strong interaction. And be interesting to see when that research comes out. But actually, we'll start taking a little tour here, and then we'll do that giveaway downstairs. And let me bring up that big screen here. That one. Breathing exercise help anxiety. Yeah, they do. I've actually learned that a lot too. So let me make sure that giveaway app's still working. Got 9 entries. And we'll hit that. Bring me up full screen there. So this is actually the whole lab. We actually have a shelf over here. You can see these are the windows I took out. It's just 2 blank windows because the windows were in such bad shape. And we needed to put our air conditioner in. Now this air conditioner still runs now even through the winter. This room has to stay at 68 to 70 degrees. Oh, my mouse is going crazy. I'm gonna take that off real quick. There we go. And we also have, these are all of our mushrooms, live mycelium. So this is actually, and I have not messing with them for 4 months, but they're still alive. They just don't look like they should. But we can fix that by doing a transfer into a clean bag. So these are actually our grain bags that actually are used to produce the mushrooms that are in our fruiting tent downstairs. So, and again, we have our microscope here. We have a lot of our different tools needed, and then our flow hood here. This flow hood is extremely powerful. It is actually a HEPA filter, so it allows nothing to get through it. And we work in front of it. We have a switch here in the side, and turns it on. It has about 20 different settings. It's very powerful. It is loud, so I don't want to turn it on, but it'll suck through this. This is a 12-inch AC Infinity fan. So it basically has a pre-filter up here, and then comes through here, sucks in, and it's a huge box in here, and then forced air through the front of this filter. So we also have a light here. Turn it on. This light's really nice when we're doing work over our lab area. So, and then we have our this is our sealer. So this basically seals the bag. After we put our mycelium in it, is necessary to seal, so we don't let any other contaminations in, and we let our filter patches that are on these bags work correctly. So we have our stirrer here too, another piece of lab equipment that is needed to grow mycelium in liquid agar. So this is basically has a pill in it. It has a little metal thing in it, if you can see, and this thing actually stirs it around and breaks up the mycelium in it. We then can stick a syringe in there, extract the mycelium, and put it into anything we want, including our bags, petri dishes. I don't really mess with it that much. I only mess with it when I'm introducing a new species, and I also keep them for backup. So let's say one of these bags goes completely bag and I lose the whole inventory, which can happen. That's the one thing about mushrooms, is you can literally lose all your mushrooms, and you have to throw them away and start all over. I have to grow. I buy my mycelium from a website called, I think it's mycelium. Can't exactly remember the name, but we buy them from a third-party vendor, and they offer about 50 different species of mushrooms. We typically only grow about 8, but we have our blue oyster, our pink oyster, shiitake, chestnuts, golden oyster. I know I'm missing more, but we basically have about 7 or 8. We sell about 5 at a time at the farmer's market. So let me bring up a couple more comments here. I can't do it when it's in my hand. My mouse does not work, so. Get horrible gut aches from eating them. Interesting. So I used to get the same thing, and my understanding is that it could be ulcers. Now, there is a huge study that I've read that, not huge study, but there's a lot of evidence that shows that cannabis use can actually upset ulcers and cause panic attacks. I don't know how it does it, but I was actually experiencing those too. If your gut bacteria is not right, that mushroom can interact with your gut bacteria, especially if you have an ulcer. Just think of an ulcer as a sore inside your stomach. Imagine that mushroom hitting that sore and causing your body to send a response to your brain. Basically, your gut-brain connection is one of the strongest connections in your body because you are what you eat. That there's more truth in that today, and more evidence that you are exactly what you eat. And so maybe look into that. I've never experienced gut pain with mushrooms, but I used to experience intestinal pain 5 hours later, and I believe that I have ulcers in my intestines too. And I've been changing my diet to kind of help heal those. But ulcers are very tricky. You can go to the doctor 100 times and you're like, well, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, well, God damn it, there sure is something's wrong with me. And it can be ulcers, and they're very hard to pinpoint without having those tests done or having a colonoscopy or certain things like that. So. Yeah, it could. I'm not, like I said, I think we need more research. I know that there are some studies that do not mix cannabis and mushrooms. And when I first started using, now that I quit, now that I am more aware, I truly believe, and I had bipolar. There's a lot of studies that show bipolar people should not take mushrooms, and not mushrooms, but cannabis. That people who have bipolar it can actually make your symptoms worse. And I kind of believe that was what was happening to me. And now I don't have any symptoms of bipolar, and I don't need cannabis anymore, which is the reason I really started taking it. But I actually quit taking my lion's mane recently, and because I wanted to completely reset my gut and then introduce it by changing my diet. I've just been consuming my probiotic, and then I take 40 milligrams of CBD at night. That has really helped me sleep as well as deal with mood. Yeah, I've had experience that had beautiful experience. I used to do mushrooms with an ex-girlfriend, and we would have beautiful experiences together. I think that taking it with somebody as well can help you get closer to that person. So, but let's do this giveaway, and then we'll start that other one. We got 9 entries. Anybody else want to get into that lion's mane giveaway? Hit that hashtag, the lion's mane. And this is our other shelf back here, which is where I was actually originally podcasting. But this is where we do all of our, we make all of our herbal medicine. This is our 400 capsule machine, which can actually make 400 capsules in about 15 minutes. Down here, we have all of our lion's mane supplements. We are stocked up with all of our powder. So, like I said, I buy it in bulk form. We're stocked up with our capsules, and then all the other equipment needed to make the capsules. We have smaller capsule machines, as well as some cleaning equipment and gloves and whatnot. So, oh, there's my mouse again being crazy. And then down here we have all of our overstock of our empty bags that actually need mycelium in it. It's kind of hard to see, but I love these stainless steel tables that I got, because not only do they have a top shelf, but they have a bottom, which allows me to store a lot more. So we just bought another 2 for our basement, and kind of show you those here. This is also an awesome tool that I have here. This is so we have a thermostat in 5 of our tents. We have thermometers. This app right here actually allows me to monitor, graph, and just make sure, and also send out an alarm email if something goes wrong. So this is a really cool thing. It actually is called, I can't remember who makes it, but it's pretty cool. Govee. So it's Govee, Govee. They sell all their stuff on Amazon, and they have a lot of cool devices. You can control lights on here. I don't know, there's so much stuff but I only use it for the thermometers. And like say here, we'll go to our devices. So we have our mushroom fruiting tent. Click on that. Right now it's at 63.5 degrees and 94% humidity. It's kind of high humidity, but that thermostat is more than likely right next to the humidifier, so that's probably why it seemed high. You can also graph it. So you can go to your week, your month. So it has to load it here, so it takes a minute, but it'll actually graph the whole month, and you'll be able to see it in a graph form, how it goes up and down. And you'll be able to pinpoint hotspots or equipment issues. So apparently, excuse me, it has not been, because it died. So when the thermostat dies, it actually resets up here. So it only goes back to last Thursday. But it's a pretty cool device. I like them. I have 5 different thermostats that keeps all my tents. You can actually set it up to where it'll actually send you an email or message when something goes out of what you set up. So let's say the humidity in the fruiting tent goes below 70%. That obviously means we have an equipment failure. It'll email me, message me, so I can take care of that and get it addressed. Otherwise, mushrooms start dying. And there are some times where I don't walk into that mushroom chamber for a few days. Same with my cannabis tent. So, but that's pretty much all up here. We're gonna go take a walk downstairs, and our actually, like I said, there's a lot of work going on in my house. So we got drywall work to do, and especially down here. But we're going to be doing that this winter. My brother's going to be helping me on my time off. And you see, this is the laundry room. We're eventually going to have a doorway between here and the laundry room, and then this is the entrance to the whole garden. So really big down here. I have a lot of people who come down here really jealous of the space that I have. And I honestly bought this house because of the fact that you can see these steel beams. My house is 130 years old. 130 years old. Somebody actually took the foundation, they jacked the whole house up, and they put a concrete foundation in. So usually when you see a house of this age, it does not have a concrete foundation. It will be a dirt floor, sometimes concrete, but it will have a block wall. And it's dark in here, I know, but a little bit here with the lights. So it's all concrete. It does look like shit because it needs painting. We'll eventually get to that as well. Oh, look, we're live over there on the TV. We're looking at ourselves live on YouTube on the screen TV. So we added this TV down here for my own entertainment. So when I'm down here a while, I can watch TV. I like watching Bar Rescue, Workaholics, and Seinfeld. Those are my 3 favorite shows at the moment. And maybe you've seen Bar Rescue. I love that show. It's a great show. But this is the equipment area. We have our, hard to see. I have a light here. It's not plugged in, but I also have a sinus infection to deal with. I'm almost getting over it, but I still do have a little bit some clogged sinuses. But here's our air conditioner that runs. This air conditioner basically runs all year round. It's hard. It's weird. Well, when you run your air conditioner in the winter, it actually doesn't pump out cold air. So when the dead winter is, we're going to have to work out a new system. I think we're going to have to we're going to divert the air conditioner and pump cold air from outside, but we're going to have to filter it. So this thing runs all the time. It keeps that tent at 63 degrees. And it also has, you can see this is the pipe right here that actually sucks in the air. Well, you kind of see it. And behind that, we have fruit fly traps all over because mushrooms attract them. But there's a vent right there that is running a fan into the fruiting chamber. So it's sucking in that air from the air conditioner into the fruiting chamber so we can keep it at that 63 degrees. This is actually the AC Infinity controller that actually controls this fan. Where's that fan over here? It's a 4-inch fan that comes on for 15 minutes every hour. So basically, how you want to grow mushrooms is, and you can actually see the fruiting tent. Well, we'll load that other one here because this is. So you can see the fruiting tent right now. Before I walk in, it is complete fog. So the atomizer is running right now and filling that room up with a fine mist, and sometimes you can't even see in there. It's pretty amazing how foggy it gets. It is a very fine cold mist, and we used a device called an atomizer that I built myself 2 years ago, and so it's pretty cool. So every time that humidity drops below 90%, it turns on. It's going to fill that whole room up with fog, then it'll shut off, and it usually runs for like 3 to 5 minutes, shuts off. Then that exhaust is going to run and suck all that air out. And one of the upgrades that we are going to be making is we're going to eventually put a CO2 monitor that will actually turn that fan on when CO2 reaches a certain point. So mushrooms are just like humans, so they need a certain oxygen in order to breathe correctly. So when there's too much CO2 in the air, it chokes them out just the same way it does with humans. It becomes too hard to breathe for humans when there's too much CO2, although at a lot higher level for humans. So what you want to do is when it reaches a certain point, you want to flush all that CO2 out, bring in fresh air, and then allow those mushrooms to breathe easier. So that is going to be our next upgrade. And the great thing is that they now have equipment on the market that are controllers, CO2 controllers. They did not have those 2 years ago. So there are a lot of new equipment coming out that is allow it to be a lot easier to grow mushrooms at home. And I'm really excited that companies are taking mycology a lot more serious. There's equipment coming out that is a lot more affordable. For instance, the CO2 monitor that I bought when I first started growing 3 years ago was expensive, and it wasn't that great. I've actually broke one, and then the other one is in one of my other tents. And it was expensive, and it wasn't that great as the ones now that are actually $20 cheaper, and they actually can control things. So you can actually plug things into it. It'll turn on some kind of device when CO2 drops below a certain level or goes above a certain level. So it'll be great when we add that new thing. So here's our stainless steel table we just added. This is our basically when our mushrooms come out of the fruiting tent, we cut them up here. We have a pail over here for compost, so we cut off the parts of the mushrooms, like the stems in some instances, and they get tossed in the composter. So we have over here these are all our ingredients to make our mushrooms bags. So this is actually the production room as well. So we have a lot of the things necessary, including our bags. We have our mixer over there. Oh, I can take that fogger out. It's kind of taking up the whole. There we go. And we actually took a light down here. We used to have a light here, and you probably can't see it that well. Oh, I can see it on that screen, so I know you can. So there's our mixer. This is actually something we added in June. This allows us to mix all of our ingredients, including the ingredients that we use to grow mushrooms are there are oak pellets, or they're actually hardwood pellets, which are right here. So these are some of the pellets that we use right here. Kind of see them. They just take hardwood pellets, hardwood species, and make them into pellets, and they use for fuel stoves. So really cheap. I can literally get 40 pounds for $6. Then we have our. All right, those are our soil pellets. Actually got it mixed up. So those are our soy hull pellets. And a soy hull pellet is basically the outer shell of a soybean. They actually take it off and discard it. They're actually pretty worthless to anybody, to soybean growers or farmers, because they don't have much any nutrition. So I can get this dirt cheap too. I literally can get 500 pounds of soy hull pellets for about $80. And then we have our hardwood pellets, which you can buy about any store for about 40 pounds for $5 to $6. So these two ingredients literally grow about 80 to 90% of mushrooms, gourmet mushrooms on the market. So we kind of have a whole process that we use to do it. We basically add hot water, and we have a hot water hose down here as well. Boiling hot water comes out of this hose here, and we use it for cleaning methods as well. Anybody who has an indoor garden needs to add a hot water hose. That thing is awesome. The power of cleaning with hot water to clean. This is actually my cleaning area. Eventually, we will get a sink down here as well, and the sink will be put in over here, and then we'll move our production area more into this room. So this is also. We have a light here too. This is another tent that is going to be replaced. I had other plans for it at first, and I actually built my own tent. It's actually plastic, and then it used to go into our old lab that is now upstairs. So this is now our storage room, which will eventually become our sterilization room, and it's very complicated to explain. But we're basically going to use a sauna steamer to help. And we'll build a device over here that will have a sauna steamer that will allow us to sterilize 50 to 100 bags at once. Because right now, when we do sterilization, we have to do it in a pressure cooker, and we can only do 6 to 9 at a time, and that takes 3 hours. So a sauna steamer is a lot more safer option. So we'll be able to do 10 times as many bags, well, 6 to 10 times as many bags in one sterilization mode, and that's going to save us a ton of time. Because right now, that's the most time-consuming part, is producing those mushroom bags and sterilizing them. So we produce them here, we make them in this room, we bring them up to our kitchen, and that's where they get sterilized. So eventually, I believe we're going to take down all this plastic. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to do that, and use that for that purpose. So that's basically about it in the production room. We got scales hanging all over too that helps weigh our products. And of course, we have all these traps you can see here. So fruit flies are a huge issue. They basically will obviously fruit flies love fruits, but they love mushrooms. They will lay eggs in the mushroom bags and produce like no other. We had issues where they really got out of control. I've learned how to keep them under control. The fruit fly traps are probably the best thing, because when you catch one of them, it's not going to mate and produce and lay eggs. So there's actually one flying around right there, and just to see one alone, that's not bad, because there used to be a lot of them floating around here. So we literally have probably 30 traps just in our production room to help take care of that issue, and it helps a lot. So anybody who has fruit fly problems, the trap's worth the best. I've tried chemicals, I've tried natural ailments, and nothing works as good as just catching them and then not letting them mate and lay eggs. I'm trying to think of. So we're over here now. We're in our marijuana section of our grow. And as a lot of you know, it's like must have just going on. Well, the plant needs some watering, so we're going to water the plant here. A little thirsty. There's still water in here, but this is actually Mythic Genetics apples and bananas. Did I say that right? Let me look up this. I got seeds right here. Oh, peanut butter apples. So it is a huge plant. It's actually been growing in beds for about 5 months, and so it's like 3 feet tall, and it's 4 feet wide. And it just entered into a flower stage not too long ago. So we're going to show how we we mix our nutrients here. We actually grow with hydro. This is another area that holds all of my nutrients to grow cannabis. I use Lotus nutrients, and SLF 100 are basically the two things that I add. I started using Lotus about 2 years ago, and I noticed a huge difference in my hydro grow. So I'm just going to water those real quick, but let's give away this lion's mane. People, don't forget to hit that lion's mane giveaway. We'll give it one more minute, then we'll give it away, and then we'll hit that shiitake mushroom. But I can tell that it needs some water because it's that light probably just went on 2 hours ago, and it's just a little limp. But it drinks a lot of water, especially when it's in a lot later flower stage. It drinks about a gallon of water probably every 2 to 3 days. So we already have 3 gallons of sitting here. I like to pour the water and then leave it sitting here for a few days. That helps actually distill it. And then we're just going to throw some. We have our nutrient guide here. That is in 2-3 week of flower. So it basically just needs some CalMag, some bloom powder, and then a little bit of boost. So we'll start with our bloom powder, and our bloom is going to be about a whole tablespoon. And the greatest thing I love about Lotus is it does not take a lot. So this whole scoop there is going to last us a whole week. And this whole bottle will last, I swear it lasts 8 months to a year. So we'll drop that in there. Then we have a mixer. So the hardest thing about using Lotus nutrients is the mixing part, and because a lot of it doesn't want to break down. So we have a mixer, got a drill here. Mythic Genetics is great. It is great. So we're gonna do a little stirring here. And I like to stir in between adding each nutrient, and I think that's kind of recommended by Lotus as well. And again, the reason I like growing with hydroponics is because it's a lazy man's way to grow. I can literally fill that whole bucket up, and I can leave it alone for up to 2 weeks if the bucket is full. But I don't like to do that. I like to keep a little bit of air in there. But literally, you don't have to open the tent up for 2 weeks. But maximum usually I do is about 10 days. So if you have 4 gallons of water in there, that will probably last you 10 to 12 days, especially at the end of flower, because it starts consuming a lot of water. So that's why I like growing with hydro, especially if you have a really busy life. Let me tag Alex then too. I don't think Alex has even seen that. And Alex, actually, I was in his live one day, and he actually thought that I went live the other day, and I was like, I haven't been live for 4.5 months. Who in the world were you watching, Alex? I don't have anybody that looks like me, do I? I think we got everybody in there for that giveaway. We got 10 entries. Let's bring that up real quick and see who wins that. Where are we at here? Add to the stage. Anybody else? Lion's mane going once, going twice. Let's hit it. Good luck, everybody. Oh, we can't see it. That say Cindy Paul. I'm right. I'm in the way. There we go. Cindy Paul, are you still here? Hey, you are. You just tagged in Alex Jordan. Congratulations. Just making sure. Just hit that I'm here comment. I'll give it a minute because I know it's on delay. My TV is on. I can see it over there. It's about 30 seconds. Cindy Paul, congratulations. Send me your address, and I'll ship you that bottle of Lion's Mane here the next few days. And I'll send you that brochure too, so it explains if you're not familiar with ever taking Lion's Mane and what it does, and I hope that it does you well. Definitely helps take care of ADHD. It gives you a lot more energy, and you'll see I have not met somebody that did not see positive results. Besides one guy, he had an allergic reaction, which about 7 to 8% of the population is allergic to mushrooms, unfortunately, and there's not much I can do about that. I can't change your body chemistry. So hopefully you're not allergic to them. But let's hit another hashtag. We got a whole pound of canned shiitake mushrooms to give away too. And please, if you're in here, don't forget to hit that like, share, and reaction button. really helps get us out on that Facebook, and especially Facebook holding down our algorithm because I haven't been live for so long. But I appreciate everybody coming in. So let's get that, go back. And it messaged me because I don't have anything to write on to, but I'll remember that name, Cindy Paul, that you were a winner of the Lions, man. I got a pen here. I don't have anything to write on. Of course I don't. But we'll do hashtag shiitake. And this is for a canned jar of shiitake mushrooms that is actually, it's a whole pound. And it's already canned to last you years to come if you don't want to use it when you first get it. But man, add that. You take those shiitake mushrooms and add it to some spaghetti. Talk about changing your life. Oh, no, we'll bring it up a little. So shiitakes, they actually taste like steak. And I had a profound experience 4th of July last year where I took them to a party. I took about 3 pounds of shiitakes. At a 4th of July party that had about 60 people there. And literally, I was the conversation piece for about 20 minutes after the shiitake mushrooms were done. People were completely shocked that they tasted like a sirloin steak. If you actually saute them with olive oil and for about 5 to 10 minutes, they taste like sirloin steak, and I'm not making that up. And a lot of people were not familiar with shiitakes at that party. Wanted to buy them, and I should have brought about 10 pounds with me because I would have sold them all. And I need to do that more. Just show up at a party, bring some samples of shiitake mushrooms, and before you know it, I'm selling 10 to 20 pounds, making a bunch of money. But we're gonna finish stirring this up as well. We gotta feed our marijuana plants here. So we got our Lotus bloom in. Then we're going to add our cow mag. Doesn't take much cow mag. Literally 3/4 of a teaspoon. That's all the cow mag needs. So this jar of cow mag is literally had for 2 years. Do not need much of it. And then we're also going to add our boost, this is the first week that we've added boost, week 3 of flower. And what the boost does is help give it those additional nutrients that your plant needs in mid-flower to late flower. And this stuff is getting really hard. Actually, bad thing is as it ages, it turns into a crystal form. So it gets into like these chunks of rocks, but it breaks down the minute you put it in the water. Lotus is also good for dirt as well. I know some people use it for dirt. Now we're going to give it another stir here. And make a mess all over my feet. And then we're going to add the most important thing, SLF 100. If you grow anything with hydro, you have to use this. This actually will completely eliminate root rot and any algae buildup that you may have on your plants. And when I first started growing hydro, I had to change out my buckets once a week. So once a week, I had to fill that bucket with water, exchange it, and that's not easy to do when you have a trellis system. So if you look at this plant here, it's very difficult to lift it up and put a new bucket in, especially when you're getting late in the flower. So you can see those girls are hungry. They're actually the plant is wilting a little bit. There's still water in there, but it's probably lacking a little bit of those nutrients it needs. So let's get it watered real quick. I'm going to add some of that SLF. Doesn't take much. I've had this bottle for quite a while too. Give it another good stir. And the only downfall with Lotus nutrients is sometimes it is hard to break up the actual nutrients into the water. That's plenty good. And now we're just going to dump that whole bucket in there. It's actually pretty dry. So. So we just take the bucket, we open up a little bit. We try to add about this. I mix 3 gallons at a time. That's about the maximum amount those buckets really hold, because there's actually roots. And you can see down here we have our root mass. Big old root mass sits in the water. But that root mass also has air roots. But there are roots that do not take in water. They take oxygen. And I didn't know that till about a year into growing. There's a famous gardener in the 80s who did a lot of research on hydro, and that's when they actually discovered that plants also have air roots. They only take in air, they do not take in water. So if you fill that bucket up too much, you can actually drown those air roots, and your plant's not going to grow as well. So I like to keep it about 2 inches below the bottom of my bucket. That's where I like to keep it. You can fill it up higher, especially in later stages. Those air roots are really important in early stages. They help the plant grow as well. And this is actually a new light that I got. Is a Mars Hydro. I think that I'll eventually just use this for veg, but I'm trying it in flower. I've seen people grow a lot of really good plants with Mars Hydro. I know there's a lot of people who think they're cheap lights, and they are. They're one of the mid-range ones. You can spend $1,000, $1,200 a light. I got this one for $200. It is can't remember which one, but it's for a 4x4 tent. You can veg or flower, and so I've seen a lot of new growth. The pistils are just starting to grow, so there's going to be some flowers growing here in the next new week. Shouldn't say the pistils, but the part of the plant where the flower first comes out. So that plant definitely needs some water. We'll see it react here in an hour when it starts to perk back up. And this is our tent where our mother plants are. And these plants are they're small. They're actually kept in 1 gallon buckets. I'd like to restrict their growth because all I'm doing is taking clones off them. These plants are actually about 1.5 years old. And we just keep them trim enough to take the clones off. And so we got 3 different strains in here. We have blueberry muffin right here. Humboldt blueberry muffin. We have Ophelia, which is a plant that I've had for 5 years now. It's a very powerful plant. Very rare to find Ophelia. They don't even sell dispensaries anymore. And then we have Turple. And we also have some more clone cuts. I got some peanut butter and apples. And this is our clone tent / new tent. So we have our clone bucket back here. This is where our new clone cuts are, and they're really healthy. You can see they are prospering. The roots in them right now, I don't have any more room, but their roots are about 6 inches long. And these are our new babies. These were just planted last week. We got 4 new plants. We got 2 turples and 2 blueberry muffins. And they're in a really healthy state. This is when you can actually start to kill them. Is when you actually transfer from the clone bucket over here, the Clone King, to this stage. So this tent actually has a humidifier in it. It is kept. We have a controller right over here to the side, and it's kept at 71% humidity. So if the humidity drops below 71%, the humidifier kicks on because young plants do require humidity, and as they get into later stages, they require less. So we're eventually going to put a controller in between these 2 tents to transfer humidity from here into this is eventually going to be our veg tent where our medium-sized plants will stay, and then we'll have a different tent for our mother plants. So this tent will then be kept at probably like 60% humidity, and then as they get later in the stages, they don't require that humidity as much. So there's no need to have a humidifier in your flower tent. So we also have this big tent here. This is a 4x8 tent that is used for flowering. There's only 1 plant in here right now. It's not in flower stage yet, and this plant looked like shit about about 3 weeks ago. It looks a lot better than it did. Now it still does have a couple dead leaves it needs to take care of, but I was neglecting my plants for quite a while, and they did look like shit. So this is a 4x8. Typically, I can fit 3 to 4 plants in it and grow a lot of marijuana. These old purple lights, they actually do grow really well. I've used them for years, but they are dying. They're reaching the end of their life. We used to have 5 of them. We're down to 2 as the other 3 broke. So we'll eventually replace the lights in here, but I'm going to get a higher end than Mars Hydro, and obviously I'm going to have to spend a little money. So these purple lights work for now. They do grow good cannabis, and I have been growing good cannabis for a while. So a lot of room still left in here. The rest of the tent's empty. And this tent is actually controlled with a thermostat. So this is the only tent that is controlled this way. So we have a thermostat here. Anytime the temperature drops below 75 degrees, our fan kicks on. So we have a fan over here, takes the heat out, and the heat now goes into our greenhouse. So our greenhouse is on the other side of this wall outside, which we'll actually show you here in a minute when we go out there. So now we have 75-degree heat going into our outdoor greenhouse. So all winter, we're going to be able to keep it at 75 degrees out there. Well, hopefully. So anytime that temperature goes above 75, that fan kicks on, starts kicking heat out, and you can see that is the exhaust. So that's actually taking the hot air that rises in here and exhausting that out of the room. We have a cool air intake down here, and that's bringing in new fresh air. And we have the option to turn on this air conditioner if needed. So we have an air conditioner here, but the temperature is 68 degrees right now. It's not too bad. But if we turn that air conditioner off, we can drop it to 63 degrees in this area really fast. So we have it comes in right over here and is able to suck in that air conditioner. So we eventually are going to upgrade these flexible fan lines to PVC. PVC is really expensive right now, hoping that the price drops, and we'll be able to put a lot more permanent, cleaner lines, because the issues with these flexible lines is they get really dirty easily. And so I want to be able to upgrade that. So we have our one fan there, that fan, and then we also have a fan up here. So there's 2 4-inch fans that are actually helping move that air out of those areas as well. So we have another one here that we're adding. You can see the little hole. So we're going to have another one that's going to go to this other fruiting tent with the same kind of temperature. It's controlled where it'll kick on when it goes above 75. So, my keyhole saw actually broke. I was actually doing it today, and then it quit working. Well, actually, this got so dull that I wasn't even going to drill through wood. So I have to go get a new one, and we'll install the rest of those. So that one is those are all our marijuana tents. Down here, we're getting into our storage room for our mushrooms. So when we make our mushroom bags in our laboratory, they then are taken down here and they're set here, which there's mushrooms growing in here. They actually need to be shiitake mushrooms are growing all over, but we'll take care of that in probably tomorrow. But this thing right here, we have 3 shelves. We have a bottom 2. We can fit about 80 to 90 bags of mushrooms at one time. So the old mushroom lab is right here, and we're about to go into that. This is where the laboratory used to be, and now it is my second lab. Right now it has no use, but we have future plans to actually start growing those special types of mushrooms again, if you know what I mean. So we have all of our old grow equipment for those. So a lot of you know I used to grow magic mushrooms. I actually grew my own supply. I have about 6 different species in mycelium form that I want to get back into growing. But these are all our containers that we use to grow them. We now have our old flow hood, which is going to be used to clean this room out. So basically, this is going to a pre-filter outside that is on the other side of this tent, and it's a big charcoal AC Infinity fan, and we'll basically scrub this room clean so we can actually have a lot cleaner room in order to grow magic mushrooms. So I actually quit growing them because I struggled. I started having a lot of trouble growing them, and so I kind of gave up, and I didn't need I still have my own medication, so I have magic mushrooms of my own that I have still. So I don't really exactly have to grow them, but I did like to grow them. I like the challenge. I like helping people find medication that they can buy from a respected person who's not trying to rip them off. And so we were making them into microdose capsules, and I was helping a lot of people. And I want to get back into doing that. I think it's very important not only to talk about, educate people about the use of mushrooms, but to help them find them too, because it's hard. I know a lot of people that still message me looking for them, and I feel bad that I can't help them. We all need. There's mental health is a big issue right now in our world, and a lot of people can help save their life with these compounds like they helped me. So right now it's just my old lab. It's kind of sad in here. This is where I learned everything. This is where I became Dan the Mushroom Man. So now it's just an empty tent, with this device that I don't really use anymore. So I hope to get have more use of it in the future. So that's the whole downstairs facility. There's a lot of other equipment behind the scenes to help run this. Like for instance, this humidifier here. So another thing, if you have a humidifier in your garden area, so this is actually plastic, a wall that I built back here with plastic. So it's all closed off, and the other side of that is my storage room, which is completely separated from the grow area. So we have our humidifier, and the bad thing about humidifiers is they blow out hot air. So you don't want that hot air to blow into your grow room, because it's already hot enough. You're already dealing with heat from your lights, other sources. So I actually put a hole in that wall, and it's blowing the exhaust into the storage room and out of my grow area. It actually, when I started doing that, I saw a 3-degree drop in my grow room in this whole area when I started doing that. So 3 degrees is a big deal when you're trying to grow things, and especially when you're trying to keep it as cool as you can. So that is a great option if you have that availability to do that. Exhaust your humidifier out of your grow room to help keep that temperature under control. Same with air conditioners. If you have an air conditioner that is not a window unit, that is one of the portable ones, they also have hot air issues. Blow that hot air away from your grow area. Hey, Lisa May, how you doing? Hope you're having a great night. Where it all began, you're right, Lisa. So the legal mushroom gummy is more than likely not magic mushrooms. They have a lot of other things in it, like lion's mane, and I'm not really familiar with them, but I know they're not magic mushrooms. They're not gonna cause your ego to dissolve. That is the most profound effects of what magic mushrooms do. The acid doesn't do that. Some of the other psychedelics do, but the biggest thing that magic mushrooms do is they dissolve your ego. And when you do not have an ego present, that is when your awareness level changes. That is where everything, your awareness of what this world is changes, because you don't have that ego protecting you, bringing that fear in you. Because your ego is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. When our egos are what give us our consciousness, they are a collection of everything that's ever happened in our life. And that's why everybody reacts different to things. That's why we're all individually different humans, because of that ego. And the ego is actually in the middle of our brain, is actually one of the most important parts of our brain, because it's in the middle. And I forgot what the term is, but there's actually, when they did a brain scan in 2003 of an MRI of the brain of somebody on mushrooms, they thought that they were going to see regions of the brain lit up, but they found one part of the brain that was completely dark. It had gone completely offline, and they found this to be where the ego was. This is actually where our control center of our whole brain, just think of it as the conductor. Our ego, our center of our brain, is the conductor of everything in our lives and everything in our brain. And when that conductor goes offline, our brain is able to communicate with other parts of our brain. For instance, you may be able to see music or hear colors. And as people say, when you have those profound effects, that's because your ego's gone. That conductor in your brain is gone. So everything is in pure chaos mode. Everything's communicating. Parts of your brain that normally don't communicate are allowed to communicate. And that's why we have these beautiful experiences, sometimes terrifying experiences. But that's where we actually find a lot of healing too. When that ego is dissolved, you're allowed to see, this is why I weigh the way I am. This is why this is happening in my life. It gives you profound awareness that you otherwise don't have. One of the most profound things that I had when I had my ego dissolved is seeing the ability to see how I developed bipolar. It took me back to my childhood. I was able to see at what point of my childhood I actually became how I am, how I developed bipolar. And I had a very lonely childhood, and that's one of the reasons I developed mental health, or developed a mental health illness. And that when you find out like why you develop mental health, then you can work on figuring out how to solve those instead of just covering it up. So that is the bad thing about Western medicine. It's all about covering up symptoms. Eastern medicine is trying to figure out why. Why am I here? Why am I the way I am? Why did I develop a mental illness? And that's really find healing. At least in my case, I did. So I hope that the long answer to your question about legal mushroom gummies that probably do not do that. So they will not dissolve your ego. But it's interesting what they have in it. I'm sure they do help a little bit. Building a 16 by 10 greenhouse. Heck yeah, that's a big greenhouse. I think that's what my size is, which we're going to show you outside. World Kindness Day, just saying, hey, how you doing? Had a long conversation with your husband earlier today. He's been helping me develop further parts of my grow about FICO and stuff. So I appreciate his knowledge. He knows a lot. Yeah, that's number one thing. Number one thing in life that holds us back from everything is fear. Fear kills us. Fear is the reason why we don't go accept our dreams. And before we know it, 20 years have passed, and we're like, what the fuck did I do with my life? It's because that fear is holding you back. So mushrooms help you fight through that fear, help you realize that it doesn't really matter what people think. Just be you. Hey, Sandra, how you doing? Yeah, acid definitely does. I don't feel the healing effects of acid, but I do like taking acid at concerts. Like being able to literally see music move air molecules is amazing. And you can have the same effect on mushrooms. So I actually 2 years ago, I took a friend to a concert who doesn't really go to concerts, and we took 1 gram of mushroom, and she was able to see that happen when you look right by the speaker at a concert and you see that music coming out, pulsating air molecules, and then moving those air molecules. And that's always there. Like that, you're not seeing things. That's not an illusion. You're not seeing something that's not there. That is actually always there, but your level of awareness is raised so much that you're able to see those air molecules move because of music. So I always find that amazing. I'm like, it's always there, but we can only see it when we take these compounds. It's really amazing. So there we are on TV again. We have our YouTube channel going on down here. So I think that's about it down here. There's a lot more things we'll be adding. Let's go out to the greenhouse. Nope, I got to put it down to remove the comments. And again, we have that shiitake hashtag. We were giving away, got 12 entries, giving away a can jar of shiitake mushrooms. I do have a little bit of acid left. I went to a concert 6 weeks ago. I brought the acid with me, but I was still dealing with some serious anxiety issues, and I didn't do it. I was too scared. I'm glad I didn't, because I probably would have had a panic attack. And now that I've actually dealt with that anxiety, I'm in a much better place. But I actually got it from a pro athlete, believe it or not. There's a guy in our town who actually, he is a professional athlete. He actually is sponsored. He does CrossFit. And I was doing some repairs at his house 2 years ago, and he's like, "Hey man, you should see all the stuff I had." He started pulling out his cannabis and his magic mushrooms, and he was telling me how acid helps him train. And he was like, "There's a lot of athletes in the world that use acid to help them train because it helps relax their muscles. It helps with pain. It helps with mental clarity." And I found it very fascinating that there's probably NFL players, NBA players, NHL players who all use psychedelics. They don't test for them, so there's no test for magic mushrooms. I do not believe there's a test for acid. So a lot of these people can use these psychedelics under the radar and not have anybody have any clue, but yet get those benefits of what they do to your body. So I found it really fascinating when he started taking that out. Sounds reverberate in the air. You're right. That's a lot. 10 strip. He actually told me that he got it from a group of people who I can't remember the name of the group, but it's basically made in a lab. So it's lab grade acid, and he was like, "Break this strip up into 4. You do not want to take the whole thing." It is. The human mind is amazing, and that's the greatest thing about psychedelics is you're able to explore the human mind. You're literally like a living experiment that allows you to go into your own brain and explore it. It's one of the most amazing things in the universe is sitting above our neck. We should all take advantage of exploring it. As far as we know, there's nothing more complex than what is inside of our head anywhere in the entire universe. And just think about that. That's extraordinary. Extraordinary. Well, you're right, Rose. Thanks for joining us. We've been having conversations about mental health, mushrooms, and the upgrades to my facility. We're giving away some shiitake mushrooms in a can form, so I can ship those out. But the Lion's Mane hashtag is over. Do I still have that on the bottom? This shiitake. Oh, I think I do. I'm sorry for not taking that banner down, guys. Nope, we took it down. Let me change that banner to shiitake, though. And again, anybody who orders from my website from now to Thanksgiving, all the proceeds are going to go to help feed families for Thanksgiving. Also, that 20% discount, which I know that I have a few people who order stuff for me who always forget that. It's discount 20. Cancer patients, veterans, and anybody 65 years or older, please use that discount code. It will always be available. Discount 20. Just always remember that. I think, Rose, you were one of the ones that forgets maybe to use it sometimes. And I can't ever change it after you made the purchase. They don't allow me to give a discount after the purchase. So make sure you use that in the future. You don't want us aware, though. I have my own awareness, and I have. That's why I'm here. That's why Dan the Mushroom Man exists, is to educate people on how awesome mushrooms are. So you can test spinal fluid. I wonder how that works. Oh, my phone just died. It just went off the screen here. It's crazy. So that phone only lasts live for 2 hours for guys. That's interesting. I didn't know that they could test for psychedelics through spinal fluid, but I guess everything in your body is through spinal fluid. I know there's no way, like, if they ever like find mushrooms. I mean, the United States Postal Service is the biggest drug carrier in the United States, and they don't have a method to catch people who use magic mushrooms or when they ship them. Dogs can't smell them. There's no like test. They'd have to ship it to a lab. And by that time, they're spending a fortune. 4 months go by before they even figure out it's magic mushroom. So science and technology has not caught up with it, and I don't think it really ever will, because a lot of the magic mushrooms are also contained in other mushrooms that are legal. So but I know they're not doing spinal fluids for athletes. The NFL has a contract of what they can be tested for and how they can be tested. So, and the other NBAs have agreements too. So, oh man, that sucks. I've had that happen too with cannabis. Shiitake, hit that shiitake. Getting a few more people in here. I appreciate you guys joining me. Don't forget to hit that like, love, reaction button. Helps a lot, especially since I haven't been live for 4.5 months, and I plan on doing a lot more lives. I have a new Sunday show called Coffee Time with Dan, and it's going to be a mental health podcast where we strictly talk about different mental health subjects. So awesome, good to hear. Well, I appreciate you joining me, Joseph. Just got one more thing to show you, and we'll go outside real quick. Show you that greenhouse because the light's still on out there, and plan on what we're doing out there. So we also, I didn't discuss, but I believe I'm going to do it out in the greenhouse, or in another tent that I put on down here. But we also make CO2 bags. So this not something I talked about a lot because I stopped making them like 18 months ago because I could not make them the same every time. I was having issues with being consistent on how the process, so I stopped doing it. But we're about to do a lot more experimenting with making CO2 bags. So basically, I have an old one here. Let's bring it here. It may have a tag on it. Yep, it does. So here's one of our old CO2 bags. And these are actually, well, see it there. Great River Mushroom CO2 bags. And they actually proven to increase CO2 levels in a 3x3x6 area by 250 to 450 ppms. And I did a few experiments where, long hold, it worked. I actually did not think it would, but I had my CO2 monitor, and I had huge increases. Now this bag is still making CO2 almost 2 years later, but it's not really making enough to make any difference. So what we actually do to produce these is we take our old mushroom bags. So after they have produced mushrooms, we only use the blue oyster species. That's what I found out. The blue oysters are the ones that work the best. Pink oysters are too wet. Shiitakes are too hard. And I haven't tried any other oyster species, but blue oysters work the best for your CO2 bags. So what we do is we take an old bag that has already produced 5 to 6 pounds of mushrooms, already exhausted all its nutrients. We break it up, and then we rebag it. And once we rebag it, it actually just the mycelium, it gets stuck in a growth stage. It has no stability and not enough nutrients to grow mushrooms, but it has enough growth to produce CO2. So a mushroom only produces CO2 when it's in mycelium form. And mycelium form is usually in the dirt. So when a mushroom actually starts producing mushrooms, it stops making CO2. It doesn't make it quite as heavily because it's using its energy now to grow mushrooms. And it's also, those mushrooms are breathing in oxygen. So the oxygen on a mushroom is actually in the gills, and the mushrooms then breathe in the oxygen and then convert and then extract CO2, but not as heavily as when it's in mycelium form. So when it gets stuck in that mycelium form, it produces that so much CO2 that you can actually add it to your marijuana tent and see those ppm improvements. Because you want to be about 1,000 to 1,500 ppm in CO2 levels when you're actually in a flower stage of cannabis. Actually, any stage. It actually needs less CO2 as it gets deeper into flower. So these are a product that we're going to bring back up, and we're going to get even better at making them more consistently. Like I said, I quit making them because I could not consistently make them the same every time. And when I can't do that, I don't want to sell it, because it's my reputation online when you're like, hey, this product turned out good, and then somebody else is like, oh, this product turned out like crap. I want to be at that stage. Yeah, Rose, make sure you put in shiitake, SHIITAKE, and you'll hashtag. Make sure the hashtag is right next to shiitake. Gel pectin and cannabis, nice. Man, that sucks. I actually have I remember when I was on probation, so a lot of talked about my house got raided. This exact house got raided in 2016 by 10 cops. That was when I was growing cannabis illegally, and this whole area down here was way differently. So the way I grow now makes 2016 look like child's play. It looks like a child playing to what I have now. But 2016, I grew cannabis for a whole year, and I learned so much then. And as far as I knew then, I was the only one who was growing cannabis. There was a lot of things that I was doing that nobody else in my area was, and eventually that's why I got raided. But I was on probation for 2 years. I couldn't smoke cannabis. It was so stupid. It was all so stupid now that you look back. I was growing a fucking plant, But we used to have a wall here. This wall actually used to extend all the way down. This room, where this tent is now, used to be my laundry room, so we had to move a whole bunch of gas and stuff, appliances, to the other room. And then we had an entrance over here that actually went into a room where I actually had tents that were homemade out of plastic. So we had like 4 separate chambers, and I was growing way different than I am now. That's where I learned how to grow hydro. These same bucket system is what I developed in 2016. I had to later buy all the equipment again because they took everything. They took fucking everything that I was using to grow. They even took my TV in my living room, which was on the other side of the house. They're like, well, your camera system's hooked up to your TV, so we're taking your TV. And back then, a fucking 50-inch TV was, $500. Still the stupidest thing I ever seen in my life when they took my TV. Stupid. But times have changed. We're in a lot better place, and our grow's a lot better now. So we'll take this outside. So now my laundry room's actually here. So like I said, I could only fit that. That's a 5x10 tent. Only fit in that spot in the basement. So we have overhead stuff that gets in the way. And we literally had to move gas line, plumbing, everything. You can see we had to move it from all the way over to here. So not as easy as one would think, just move the laundry room. But all right, I'm gonna take my lab coat off too, because I don't want this is for lab only. And then we'll go outside. So again, that exhaust from my flower tent goes out into my greenhouse now. And we're gonna go show you that real quick, and then we'll give away some shiitake and probably call it a night. So it's outside my bedroom. It's actually a 20 feet by 12 foot greenhouse. And then again, we got to go through some parts of that. Looking on my back deck here. And here's what the outside of the greenhouse looks like. That's a light we just put in it. And we also have some other things out here we're working on. This is where we are working on the nutrient part. And I imagine now that we have our heat exhausting here, we're going to attract a lot of slugs. I already see a few slugs. I'm pretty familiar with slugs now because they love mushrooms too. They actually get into my fruiting tent. No idea how, but they get all the way down into my basement, into my fruiting tent, which means they have to crawl through the smallest crevices to find it, and somehow they're able to smell the mushrooms. Fascinating that they know those are down there. I still find that so fascinating that a little slug is able to find those. But they get into my house sometimes. Once in a while, I find them in my fruiting tent. So I still don't know how they get in. I think they get in through my air conditioners. But this is our exhaust right here. So this is exhausting straight from the flower tent that I grew cannabis in. So anytime that tent gets above 75 degrees, it is exhausting out here. And we do have a cover for it. It just fell off, so we have to get some caulk and recaulk that. And we also have another one we're bringing in. So we're gonna have 2 vents coming out here, exhausting from our other flower tent, and it should keep this pretty warm in here through the winter. We have some mushrooms growing out here too. So these are where I bring my bags that go bad. So sometimes when you do fruit mushrooms, there's another contamination in there, and you have to separate it from your fruiting tent. Typically, they get thrown away. So now I'm able to bring them out here and keep them growing without having the ability to contaminate other things in my areas. We also have this here, this is you can't see it. So this is a tumbler. It's a compost tumbler, and we have plans. We're actually going to get a few of these in here, and we're going to make our own compost for gardens. And that is a product that I will be introducing in the spring for compost addition to your garden. So it will have live mycelium in it, and you'll have the ability to spread that through your garden. And I have a company in town. It's a cafeteria at a local university that is going to be donating their compost scraps, because once I have this full, I'm not going to be able to provide enough compost to feed them. So we'll feed them compost to keep the mycelium even more aggressive in these. Then we'll actually scoop it out, and we're going to have a few combinations. We have some topsoil that we're going to add, so it'll probably contain some topsoil. I can't remember. I have my ingredients inside, but it will have a few ingredients to help supplement your garden. So if people don't know, mycelium in a garden actually helps your vegetables communicate with each other. So when you have mycelium presence in your garden, let's say your tomato plant is not getting enough water, but the other tomato plant is. What will happen is it will use the mycelium network to share its nutrients with its neighboring plants. And all trees do that. Plants do that. Anything that is alive has that symbiosis with the mycelium network. And in exchange, the mycelium network gets carbon. So the plant will give it, or mostly the trees will give the mycelium carbon in exchange for the mycelium network carrying its nutrients. The carbon is then stored in the ground and then is eaten by other bugs, tracks, and the whole network, the whole mycology, everything that is healthy in a soil is then just, that's how you produce healthy soil. It all starts with that mycelium, and the rest just happens naturally. So we have a table over here. It's not very clean right now because we don't have, we just added this light today. So we have a light that goes on and off now. So we can have some light out here. And we have a pump here, which is actually going to eventually have a nutrient bucket here. And we're going to have the ability to feed our garden outside that we have never really used. So next spring, I look forward to using that garden area. So. But mostly it's going to be used for these tumblers. That's what this area is mostly going to be used for. So, yeah, pretty interesting. We also have our air conditioner here. We're eventually going to cut a hole in here. And like I said, the bad thing about sometimes I have to run the air conditioner when it's cold out. An air conditioner does not work very well when it's cold out. It actually blows most of its hot air. Oh man, I killed a slug. I stepped right on him. Poor guy. But we'll cut that out, and then we'll have this room will be kept warmer through those cold winters, the cold days. The air conditioner is going to work better because this room is going to be warmer. So that's another thing that we're going to add. And that's why I actually put the greenhouse right next to my house. So that's the basement window, and then up here that's my bedroom, and then we have air conditioner that actually goes to the laboratory right here. I actually turned off. It's usually on, but I turned it off because we're doing our live in there, and it's loud. So this is the greenhouse portion now. So But that thing has a massive shiitake mushroom in it. You can actually see that. This was a bag that was actually contaminated. But actually ended up knocking out the contamination. I don't see it in there anymore. But contaminations don't grow on the mushroom, so you can actually still produce the mushroom with the contamination in it, and the contamination does not typically grow on the mushroom unless you leave it in there too long. Then it'll eventually eat it as well. But yeah, that's our greenhouse, and again, I think it's 20 feet by 10 feet, so there's a lot of room out here. There are a lot of slugs too, so we are going to have to put some more Damascus earth, which I've been spreading it around the dirt to keep bugs out of here. But so we have a whole bag of it. Slugs don't like it either. So, but the slugs are coming in here because it's cooler in here. But slugs are healthy. We need slugs as much as we need everything else. So head back inside now. And this is just about 20 feet off of my back door. So this is the back porch we're also working on. We've completely stripped it out. We're going to be doing some work here. This is going to have our refrigerators in it to help keep our mushrooms cool. Right now the porch is actually collapsing, so we have to put a couple new posts in it and jack it back up and do some other repair work to it, which we'll be doing this winter when I have my time off. So right now my other refrigerator, we have one here, but my other refrigerator's in my front living room. And who likes having a fridge in their living room? I don't. Right now, I don't use my living room because it needs a new ceiling, so we're going to be doing that this winter too. And then I need some new furniture. But the last portion of my grow this is where we do all our shipping out of. So, and this is where our storage room is. So we have everything that's needed to do everything that I do is stored here. We have all of our products all ready to ship, so all made up. If you order something, I can package it up, weigh it out here, and ship it out as fast as I can. So eventually this room is going to be in the other bedroom, and then once my upstairs bedroom is done, my bedroom will be up there. So then I'll have my dining room back. So you see right now the living room has a collapsed ceiling, and I don't use this room at all. I actually moved the TV downstairs because I don't really use it too often. Couch is a piece of shit and needs to be thrown away and buy some new furniture, which I will do once I finish with the fixing the ceiling. So we already drywalled the ceiling in here because we had the same issue. We had a ceiling collapse. It's an old house, and we need to patch that hole. This room's awesome. It has a fireplace. It works great. It'll heat up this whole room in minutes. And then we have this cherry hutch, which I used to do my podcast in front of, as a lot of you know, and I still plan on doing that. Yeah, it's beautiful. This is all cherry. It's actually cherry wood. It was built at a later time, I believe, probably in the 60s. So my house was built in 1903, and the fireplace is original. That cherry hutch is not. And I know that because the realtor told me when they redid the staircase behind it, they actually found a book. They found a book. It was a photo book from the early 1900s that a family had lost, and it fell underneath the stairs. And they ended up selling it for $2,000 to a local newspaper. It's only too bad I didn't find it, $2,000. But it was apparently black and white pictures of the family that used to live here and the area of Quincy. So if somebody had, in the early 1900s, had a family book, they more than likely were really wealthy. So my understanding is Abraham Lincoln's attorney lived across the street from me. Right now is actually a nursing home. You can kind of see the lights over there. But I had a guy who I did some work for. He was showing me pictures. Abraham Lincoln's attorney house was across the street, right on that same property. It burned down in the 1870s. But Abraham Lincoln used to walk down the street, and he would visit his his attorney, who was also his best friend's house. So Abraham Lincoln has literally walked in front of my house, which is pretty awesome to say. Wow. But I live in Quincy, Illinois. There used to be a lot of debates here when he was elected. This was the forefront of the Civil War. Missouri obviously was a slave state. Illinois was not. So that river, the Mississippi River, was a very important part of the Underground Railroad. They used to sneak slaves into Quincy and then hide them in homes. So there's a ton of history here, and it's even more interesting that that history exists in front of my house. So apparently that house burned down in the 1870s. They had then built a nursing home there that was owned by the Catholic Church. It burned down in the 1940s, and then they built this current nursing home there that has been there since. So it's been remodeled. It's actually a veterans home now. It's owned by the state of Illinois. So. Yeah, 1903. Imagine the history. So I imagine that this house did not exist when Abraham Lincoln obviously walked down the street. It was the 1860s. So my house didn't exist then, but there are, if you look down my street, there are actually, every other house is basically a mansion. So when they used to build homes back then, they actually would build 3 to 4 homes on a block. And then in later time, they took the parcels in between the homes and they sold them off and built smaller homes in between them. So my house, there's a huge house next door, and then there's one down the block that is basically a mansion, and there's a couple more spotted, but that's how it used to be. So very interesting, very intriguing, and Abraham Lincoln was literally walking down my street at one point. We'll go back here into the lab. Read some of these comments. New Mexico, see a huge white mushroom. I'm not sure. There are approximately 1.2 million different mushrooms. I believe 20,000 of them actually produce mushroom fruit, and I only know like 10 of them. There are apps out there. The Mushroom Identification app, that is an amazing app. And I believe you are allowed 4 pictures a month for free. So you just take a picture, load it in there, and it'll help you ID it. And then you can pay for a paid membership where you are allowed unlimited uploads. But I invite anybody to try that app. It's called Mushroom ID. That's what it's called. I unfortunately am not. Usually the only people who can ID mushrooms are people that work at universities, for the fact they've been studying for so long. They actually went to college and everything else. I'm just an expert at growing them in your house. I'm not really an expert at foraging. I've actually rarely foraged besides when my family-owned property. Used to forage a lot for morels. But even at that point, I didn't know a lot about mushrooms. Awesome. So maybe they built a new house, a newer home on an old foundation. Hey, Gabriel, how you doing? Hope you're having a great night. Just catching up with some comments. It's hard to read when I'm walking around with a laptop. Compost is wonderful for gardening. Put little cans of stale beer. Is that to keep the snails away? Not snails. Whatever you call them, slugs. They hate coffee grounds and baking soda. Huh? To try that out, baking soda and coffee grounds. I have plenty of that. I used baking soda when I used to have digestive issues, because baking soda helps reset your gut acid. So it actually works better than any antacid pill. You just take, I think, about a teaspoon and put it in a glass of water, drink it, and if you have stomach pain, it usually almost completely takes it away, but it also resets your gut bacteria. Fake urine. So you can't do that when you're on probation. They actually check. I mean, you have a guy standing there watching pee, and they actually have a sign there. When I used to go, and it showed this guy who got caught with fake urine and got 2 years in prison because of it. It is a serious crime if you're on probation and you get caught using any kind of device to falsify those results. And the judge will not be happy. He will put the law down on you if you get caught doing that. But if you're doing it for like a job, they don't ever have anybody standing there watching you. I used to not smoke cannabis for a while, and I had a friend who had to take a drug test, and I gave him my urine, and he just put it in a little plastic container, taped it to his leg, and when he went in for the test, he just dumped it in there, and he passed. Sasquatch. That's a Sasquatch-sized mushroom. I call them Sam Squatch. Anybody who's watched Trailer Park Boys, they always called Sasquatch Sam Squatch. It's a great show too. I appreciate you stopping in. Let's give away the shiitake mushrooms. Got a whole jar here, and I think she messaged me. Let me write down that winner of the lines, man. Cindy Paul, you did. Preventing fungal disease. Nice. Powdery mildew. Gotcha. Maybe I'll mix it in with the dirt. Like that tent out there, I can start sprinkling coffee grounds on the ground and some baking soda, and then some of that Damascus earth. Try to keep the bugs down. But I don't really see many bugs in there. There is. I noticed that there is some leaks in the seams of that greenhouse, which you're going to get on any greenhouse. I didn't spend a lot of money on it, but I'll probably get some tarp tape and just tape the seams up again. They actually make this really high-end tape that you can tape on the plastic. Basically, will not come off. Those leaking seams seem to be the one thing that may be attracting the bugs. I appreciate it, Cindy. I'll write your name down here now. I have a really write down again. It's already 10:15, and I got to get up at 6 in the morning to work. No rain day tomorrow, but I had a rain day today. But it's already Thursday. The rest of the week's going to be a piece of cake. I can't smell, and I'm shaking my camera so much. All right, let's get this giveaway going. I'm hungry. I'm going to get some food. We got 17 entries. Bring it up to a bigger screen here. And good luck, everybody. Again, thank you for joining me. Please, if you haven't yet, hit that reaction button. It really helps a lot, especially to help people watch afterwards. So hopefully shared a lot of good, useful information, and we'll keep sharing it on our next slide. Good luck, everybody. Give this away. Joseph today just said good luck. Congratulations, Joseph. And you've been here all night too. You deserve to win. I appreciate you being here. Oh, I got your name down. And we'll ship those out to you as soon as I can. And again, anybody who else makes an order, like I said, this week, if you order from GreatRiverMushrooms.com, which was right there at the bottom, GreatRiverMushrooms.com, any proceeds from now to Thanksgiving is going to help feed needy families in my area. We are also going to have a live Sunday night where I will be auctioning off some items. We have some FICO. Still have FICO tubes that I never sold. We'll be auctioning off some cannabis products, probably some cannabis, some honey, all kinds of stuff. So anything during that auction. Oh, and also some bowls. So all my old cannabis bowls I don't use anymore, I'm going to be auctioning those off too. All that money in that auction is going to help feed families. Basically $50 will help buy a meal for a family for Thanksgiving in my area. So far we have 9 meals that have been donated. My goal was 25, so we only need that many more, 16 more. And I imagine that we will do that night. So I look forward to seeing you guys Sunday. And then we also have a new show that will be coming up on the following Sunday called Coffee Time with Dan Mental Health Podcast. That will be every Sunday at 9 o'clock. I'm open every Sunday, at least every other Sunday, but maybe every Sunday. And we will be talking about mental health subjects. We will also be having co-hosts. Rhino Rasta will be a co-host. We'll probably be having Sir Steve-O. We have some anybody who ever remembers Cheyenne Moore. We had her as a guest a while ago on some of our podcasts. I'm sure she will be. And we'll also be having some other people and talking all about different mental health subjects, from PTSD to alcoholism to magic mushrooms to you name it, everything in between. So hope you guys join me again. That will be the following Sunday, but this Sunday at 7 o'clock, we'll be having that live auction to help feed some families for Thanksgiving. So I appreciate you all joining me this evening for 2.5 hours. And I'll see you guys next time. So until then, much love. I appreciate you guys stopping in, listening to me, and hearing my story. So we'll hit you with that outro here. And we'll see you next time, guys. If I can find it. There's so many videos in here still. Somewhere here. There it is. All right, guys. We'll see you guys later. You guys have a great night.